think it's really funny that in my first ever pack of Uprising, I pulled Vincerikai, and then in my 2 cases, actually I think they were from the same case, I opened 2 more Marvel Vincerikais, so I have a playset currently.
There you go, just take them. That's what you get.
Yeah, the world just wants me to have them specifically.
I mean, my very first pack had the Cold Foil Cornet Peak, so it's not going to get much better from there, I think. Unless I pull the Cold Foil Fabled, I suppose, but...
Yeah, or honestly, I think Crown of Providence, that's probably up there too.
I mean...
For Cold Foil specifically.
You know, as far as I go, like, my goal for every set is I want to get a full play set so I can make whatever decks. So I'll be happy with just the Rainbow Foil ones, because the Cold Foil rates seem very, very hard to actually get.
Yeah.
I honestly think, I don't know if this is true, but just judging by people's like reactions and polls, it feels like the full art Icelander is the hardest thing to get, because I've only seen a couple, but I've seen like a ton of people posting about their like Fableds.
Yeah, I've seen like maybe 3 Icelanders. Like it's been pretty few and far between. So that'll be a fun one to try to guess.
Yep. Get that, then I'll get Steve Argyle to ruin that one too. Just have a sign all over it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, we've already had some pretty good chat, which is kind of funny. But anyway,
I've been recording. I've been recording.
Yeah, because I was about to say, like, we can officially start, but also like there may be an opportunity to just like splice in some of that if you're feeling like extra spicy. But let's do like an official intro. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Living Legend podcast. I am your host for today. My name is Bill, and we have some pretty interesting stuff to talk about. There's been some shakeups. There's been some upsets. With very specifically, you know, the new set Uprising, which I think is kind of funny. And you know, I think we also have a new weapon for a hero that we didn't necessarily know that we were going to get, but I think is going to make things a lot more interesting.
I love that it's a weapon. Also,
yeah,
it's bash him on the head
specifically
with it.
A weapon.
Bash him with your cane, Scrooge. No one's gonna get that reference. No one's gonna get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So today, as I said, I'm your host, Bill, and joining me, as always, are my 2 lovely co-hosts. We have Kel, or Red Zone Rogue, and we also have Az from Go Again Gaming. Say hi, gents.
Hi. How's it going?
Hello. How's it going, audience? Whoever might be listening now or in the future.
I'm just thinking about bashing people with instruments.
Yeah.
Bang.
That's going to be the whole theme throughout this episode.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, let's just hop straight into it. There's been, as I said, some pretty interesting stuff happening recently. In terms of this week in FAB, I'll start off. I was finally able to, and I say finally able, I'm kind of rubbing it in the faces of our US listeners, unfortunately, but I was able to get my hands on my Uprising product and open those and had a fantastic time with that. I'm actually in the process right now of putting together a FI Classic Constructed deck for potentially playing at my LGS on Monday. So that's really my big excitement. Az has some pretty fun stuff that's even more recent than just this week. Like what, 2 hours ago?
Literally, yeah. It's my first case I've ever cracked on the channel as well, and I mirror what you said as well there. Really, this is the first time I've actually had my hands on any Uprising. So you know, I was just sort of reading the cards as I was going through the packs. I know they've all been spoiled, but it's just nice to sort of hold them in your hands and read through them. You know, if you haven't had the chance to go to a pre-release, whereas UK didn't have the chance to do that. So yeah, it was just a nice little bit of a discovery session going through the set. And can't wait to build some decks. So and also go to mention as well that I've got a few more boxes that in the future when the US gets their product, when you know obviously you get yours, Cal, and Stephen gets his, we might be able to do a little stream.
Yeah, that's the goal. Have like a fun just box opening stream with everyone, with the boys, and it'll be great. Hopefully sooner rather than later, but Steven and I buy from places that adhere to the street dates, so we will likely not be able to open anything too early. So, but I'm still looking forward to it. I have a lot of boxes coming from various sources, so hopefully at least one of them will arrive on time. That'll be nice.
So hopefully we'll obviously all experience that again together, and obviously everyone else can as well. But yeah, just looking forward to opening more, really.
Yeah, and my week in Flesh and Blood has been pretty not as exciting because I don't have any Uprising to open. But I did build a all Uprising commoner-ish deck with rares with Dromai to kind of just play against people who also have Uprising. Because I just want to play Dromai, and obviously my pool is very limited, so I don't have access to like Majestics. But I did get a lot of the rares, so I built a little deck to play around with, and that's basically what I've done in regards to Flesh and Blood this week, more or less.
That's what you want to do, though, isn't it? It's just like, your pre-release experiences were basically Icelander and well, it's more or less Icelander, wasn't it, most of the time?
It was a lot of Icelander, and I drafted Fi once, and I went undefeated with Fi. But I always end up in Icelander. I even made I guess that's not true. I made a draft guide for Icelander for Channel Fireball on Wednesday as well. So I think that was published a couple days ago. So if you're interested in my opinions on how to draft Icelander, and I've had some pretty good success with it so far, it's up on Channel Fireball. So yeah, go watch that. I go deep. It's like 40 minutes long. It's like 30 or 40 minutes, and I go over like all of the cards and what I think are like premium picks, what I think are traps, and kind of everything in between.
There's traps in the set? What's going on?
Yeah, you gotta be careful about using that as has his bow ready.
There's a couple cards in particular that I think are very much draft traps where like it's not gonna do like anything for you. One of them is the rare, I think it's called Aether Ice Vein, where the next, if you fuse, then you like the next card that you fuse causes your opponent to gain X number of Frostbite tokens, but it basically requires an equivalent of almost 4 cards out of your hand to even make it work. And in draft, which is super aggressive, good luck having a 4-card hand, right? Like, you're gonna get pounded by 5. There's no way you're gonna actually activate your Aether Ice Vein because you need it itself. It costs 1 resource to play, so you need at least a resource worth of cards to play it, right? And then you also have to play another card and then fuse that card, which means you need 2 more cards. Whereas something like the oh crap, I forget what it was called. It's just the 0-cost one that gives them a Frostbite at blue.
Arctic Incarceration.
Yeah, that one. That card is the opposite. I consider that card a very premium card, especially the blue and the red versions are fantastic.
Nuts.
Yes, it is very, very good. So that good, other card bad. So yeah.
I actually had with that defense reaction, because it is a defense reaction, the card that you were talking about. I had that card perform for me exactly once, and I was able to follow it up with one of the, I think it was that blue, like Ice Bolt or Arctic Bolt or whatever, the 2-cost one from my arsenal.
Yes.
So I was able to do the blue version of it after doing that, or no, there's another 2-cost that does 3 damage for the blue version that you have to fuse and whatever. I don't remember all the names, but I was able to actually get that off, and my opponent wasn't able to do anything about it, and he was on Fi. So I was like, oh, okay, so I'm playing this out of my arsenal, giving you a Frostbite because of that, and then you don't negate any of the damage, so you get 3 more Frostbites, and I blocked your thing for 4. And he was like, this shouldn't have happened. I'm like, I know, but here you go. It was absolutely magical Christmas land. It's the only time that card's ever going to do anything.
But yeah,
it was just aligned.
So yeah, that has been my week in Flesh and Blood so far at least.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so much to talk about for Uprising. Like it's such a huge mix up to everything really. people are kind of losing their minds over Phi and Dromai because they're both like really new playstyles for their respective classes. I mean, Phi is not like super out of the ordinary for like tiny little attacks and a bunch of them like going wide like that. But I don't know, the ability for Dromai to, you know, have this sort of mix of going wide and also having the ability to just put out a ton of damage at the same time. Creating these threats that your opponent has the ability to react to, but you know, it doesn't take away all of their tempo when they do so. Not like with Prism and her auras, where you know they eat up Go again, make it really really awkward. So it's like a little bit more balanced that way. But I think a lot of their cards are just really generally efficient. So obviously there's a lot of stuff going on right now, and also that's not even to talk about all of Icelander's new tools. I'm really, really terrified to go against Frost Hex. I think that card is going to kill me at least once. There's no way it doesn't.
Yeah.
The fact that it just kind of sits around, like it just sits around, is definitely gonna kill me at least a few times. Like someone's gonna end up with like 3 freaking Frost Hexes, and they're gonna dump a bunch of freaking tokens on me, and I'm just gonna eat like 15 damage or something.
Yeah, like the fact that they're not like the channels where they have like an upkeep cost where you have to keep paying into them. They just sit there, and if they don't do something on a turn, that's fine, because on other turns they will probably do, you know, even if it's incidental damage, even if it's like 2 damage, that's 2 extra damage you wouldn't have normally done. And I think it's pretty easy to do multiples of that, like get a decent amount of value. So it's just going to be really cool overall.
Yeah. For those listening, the name of the card I was talking about that I said is a trap, I misspoke a little bit. It's called Eisenhower Weathervane. That's the one that sucks. Just so you know.
Oh,
Just so y'all know. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that you were talking about, there's one defense reaction that I think has that effect, but it's still also not great because...
Yeah, the Weathervane's, it's just a regular action. And it's an ice action with Go again that blocks for 2, and it's pretty terrible. Luckily it's at rare. It's at rare, so you won't see it as much. But
yeah, you're saved from it. More often than not.
Yep.
But yeah, also speaking of big mix-ups to Flesh and Blood in general, with the introduction of the Uprising heroes, there was also a recent change to the banned and suspended list.
Only yesterday, I think.
Yeah, like very, very recently. And some of these I'm happy about. Some of these I'm confused about a little bit. Most of them I think were, you know, at least like a little bit telegraphed in terms of, you know, these didn't really come out of nowhere for people, I'm sure, if you were paying attention. But so as we know, and has been the news for a while, in Classic Constructed, both Bravo, Star of the Show, and Chain achieved Living Legend status, and their retirement present is not being able to be played anymore.
Well, you can play them in the Living Legend format, I guess, whenever that becomes a thing. And it sounds like James White wants that to become a thing at about 4 heroes, because he believes 4 heroes to be kind of like an optimal, or at least a minimum viable pool of heroes to play with. So.
Yeah. Right now, 2 is that would be a pretty lean.
Exactly.
Format, I think.
I mean, I think Prism's going to be joining them pretty soon, so we'll see. But
she's going to be rocketing towards it, especially because, you know, as I said, people are super excited about Uprising heroes, but I have seen so many people complain about how Prism is going to be the basically impossible deck to beat right now. Which I don't know if I have a comment on it one way or the other. I think that Prism is just always generally strong, especially if you know how to play her.
Yeah, Prism's just good.
Yeah, she's just like a well-designed, well-rounded hero, which means that like even on her she has like a couple of matchups that are really, really polarizing, but I mean one of them was Guardian, and one of the Guardians is now gone. So that just takes away one of her really, really bad matchups. And even her matchups that aren't like super great are still pretty solid if you know how to actually navigate it. Which just puts her in kind of a unique situation, I would say, compared to the rest of the format.
I would also like to note for people, and I know this is going to be a huge heartbreaker for everyone out there, but by virtue of Chain being living legend, his weapon Galaxy Black is also now no longer legal for official Classic Constructed tournament play. So
what an absolute tragedy.
So all of you people with your alt art cold foil Galaxy Blacks, I guess you
I might be able to pick up one for cheap now.
it looks cool. It looks really cool.
Yeah, it's just a cool card.
You can jam that in UPF or Commoner, I guess.
Yeah.
And you know what? By golly, I might.
I mean, that's some pretty sweet Commoner swag. Like, to be honest, like
Sure.
like cold foil equipment. It's pretty nice.
No, that unironically is one of my favorite things about like, you know, commoner and more budget formats in general is putting together like the most valuable version of that for no reason. It is like it is only because
bling tech.
Yeah. It's like, oh, check me out. I have my cold foil hardened cross strap, and people are like, cool.
I mean, you could be like, yeah, here's my alpha cold foil Snapdragon scalers.
Yeah,
I
it's like,
think
nice, man. Mine cost 10 cents.
Yep.
Like, damn.
Yep.
Giant.
You gotta go for it no matter what, I guess.
Yeah. But another thing, this is the first time we've seen this happen, actually. We have cards that have come off of the suspended list, which, of course, only recently was the suspended list, like, instigated, I think, within the last, like 6 months.
It's very recent, yeah.
Yeah, that became, like, a thing that they were doing alongside the band list. So Autumn's Touch was suspended until Bravo Star of the Show hit Living Legend. So Autumn's Touch is now back in for Classic Constructed, and because Chain got Living Legend in as well, Seeds of Agony is no longer suspended. Which, you know, you think about it at first, you're like, you think back to when Seeds of Agony was being played, and it's like, well, that's such an efficient card. Like, you can play it from your Banish Zone because it has Blood Debt, and it's just like this free non-attack action that also gives you incremental value. All of those are true, but the thing is, there is not currently another hero in the game that can play Seeds of Agony.
Yep, there's no more Shadow
Muddies
Room
that a
waves.
little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Though.
So, I mean, whenever we get our next one.
Yes.
Like.
I was gonna say Autumn's Touch though can be played in Oldham and Briar now, and I don't really.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if Briar. I think I guess I could see Briar playing the blue version instead of that other kind of jank card that they used to fuse in the Mount Heroic build.
Yeah. Like Autumn's Touch is not a bad card. Like it's not an exciting card, but it's good for, you know, the purposes that you need it for, which would be having the relevant talent in order to fuse. I think it's just, isn't it just like blocks for 3 and is a decent attack too? Like it's just fun. Like, yeah, it's just totally solid. But yeah, I could see it in like Briar, Channel Mount Heroic, or just like an all-in Earth Briar, which I still think is like, it may not be the best way to play Briar, but it's absolutely like really fun.
Oh
yeah. And then yeah, Oldham would play it too, I'm pretty sure, because they have Oldham has relevant Earth fuse stuff like Oak and Old as always,
and his like hero ability.
And his hero ability, exactly. So playing the blues is going to be relevant. So yeah, like Autumn's Touch is an interesting one, and is actually like could potentially see some additional play. Seeds of Agony would absolutely see additional play. However, even though it's legal, you cannot play it, which is a weird statement.
Yeah. You are 100% allowed to play it in any of the legal Shadow Runeblade decks.
Yeah, exactly. But speaking of you know, additional changes that affect Oldham, I think mostly.
Yes.
Moving on from Classic Constructed to Blitz, the big change. There was only one change for Blitz, and it's now Crown of Seeds is suspended in Blitz until the next banned suspended announcement, scheduled to conclude August 21st.
Yeah, I think
so
this is the big one.
I think
I think this is the big one for the for this announcement for sure.
Yeah, this was the one where, for the Living Legends stuff, you could see that coming from a mile away. All the information was already there. You could see the leaderboards. You could see what cards were being suspended until when. I am not surprised that Crown of Seeds is on their radar currently, and I'm pretty okay with seeing it go personally. I mean, I'm not a huge Guardian player, but just the Crown of Seeds is just a hyper efficient card.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so good. I don't know, like I know a lot of people when Tales of Ari was coming out, they were looking at, it's super easy to get blinded by like Rampart because it was the first like big shield, and it's like, yeah, that's super cool. And then like New Horizon, you get to play with 2 arsenal slots. And then you have this other one where it's like, oh well, you can like prevent 1 damage by bottoming your arsenal and paying a resource, and it's like, is that
you
like,
get draw
good?
card too? You get draw card.
You get to draw a card too, so you get to like filter that way. But it's like, yeah, is that like good? And then within maybe a couple weeks, people were like, yeah, this card is maybe too good.
Yeah.
Because over the course of a game, it can gain you like 7 life, 8 life.
It's
like
insane rate, because like when you think about another helm that also prevents damage and was considered to be one of the best in the game at the time, it's very boring, but Arcanite Skullcap, right? Arcanite Skullcap prevents 3 damage at most, like 3 physical damage at most. Crown of Seeds can do way more than that, and also filter, and also it's like it's just so good. Like
it just like never goes away either. Like at least Arcanite Skullcap, once it's blocked 3, it kind of just doesn't do anything anymore. It might as well have temper, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
Like after it blocks that damage, you have Arcane Barrier 3 sometimes, but who is ever gonna actually pay for Arcane Barrier 3?
Yeah, at the Pro Tour in New Jersey, between one of the rounds, it was me and a couple other casters. I know Brian Gottlieb was there. We were chatting, and I was just like, is Crown of Seeds the best equipment in the game right now? And we almost unanimously agreed that we thought it was like the best equipment, if not, maybe in the top 3. But it's absurd. It's so good. It gives you so much more value than any other piece of equipment in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I fully agree. I don't know. Again, I'm not a huge Guardian player, or specifically Oldhim, and I didn't play Starvo when he was legal, so I don't have a lot of skin in the game either. But yeah, I just think that it was, it's a change that I agree with for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I own a cold foil Crown of Seeds. I've actually pulled a couple, and I'm very happy with this change. I've also literally never made a deck that runs Crown of Seeds. I've literally never made a deck that runs it, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. I mean, one of the things that really stood out to me on the post about this was that Oldhim in particular featured in every single team that made the top 4 at the recent callings in Madrid, Vegas, and Sydney. He made the top 4 in every single one of those teams in all 3 of those events. So Oldhim's pretty good in Blitz, and I know a lot of people are really glad to see him get nerfed a little bit. I mean, I teched my Lexi deck specifically to play against Oldhim, and I did win. The deck did what it did and just made it really awkward for Oldhim to do defense reactions. But barring that, like any other deck is just really, Oldhim's just a freaking brick wall, man. Like. It's just like, it's like just punching a brick wall.
We had Kaylee actually shouted us out, I think, with regards to teching her deck against Oldhim specifically because of Dreadball. So yeah, I think that's definitely a nice little bit of tech going into Oldhim. We're going to see a lot of that now, I think, going forward. Because they reported a lot of decent results from Oldhim. So,
yep, it works. It's awkward. So for me, I was playing Lexi, and it makes things a little awkward for you because you don't have the go again from Voltaire. But it also makes things super awkward for them because they can't play with any of their defense reactions if you have something like Remorseless or Release the Tension.
Exactly.
And yeah, I think it's technically better in Azalea, just because Azalea has the ability to dominate arrows, and she kind of works a little bit better with going tall, where Lexi works better with going wide. So it makes it a little awkward for Lexi, but it works. Like I said, I won the Oldham matchups that I had. Ended up getting absolutely railed by Kano, but that's a whole other story. That's a whole other.
Doesn't
story.
get railed by Kano.
Yeah, really.
I
Oldham
mean,
actually.
that's what happens.
Yeah.
Oldham is actually pretty good against Kano. But because like Steven, who was playing, or DM Armada, who was playing Kano on my team, did not want to get matched against Oldham, and so that's why I was sitting in the center spot, because we assumed we'd see a lot more Oldhams in center.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad. I think this is maybe a little bit of a spicy take, because I know a lot of folks like Oldham. I like Oldham as a character, but I think he's the most unfun hero to play against.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad he's getting taken down a peg a little bit.
I would definitely agree with that assessment. That's sort of, and I think I mentioned this when we were talking about Icelander stuff last week, but Oldham has a really great design when it comes to being, what his character. Look at him, and it's like, yeah, this man like doesn't take damage because he's in like a suit of armor that's 18 feet thick.
Right.
Like he's the grandfather of eternity, so he's around forever. He doesn't die, but he has all these tools to slow down the game. But he does have some really great options to close things out, like with Oakenold and stuff. But he mostly has ways to slow. You could build an Oldham deck that like basically doesn't have a way to win, but can go to time against every deck in the format. I guarantee.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure you can survive any onslaught as Oldham, but it's about winning after that. And thankfully now Icelander has a lot more tools to do exactly that. I feel like Oldham, again, it's almost that play pattern of you tank absolutely everything until your opponent has one bad turn, and then it's like, okay, hit you for 15 and you discard 2 cards. And it's like, oh, sick.
Yep.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, and honestly, I think Oldham will still be pretty good in Blitz. So, this is not like, gonna absolutely destroy everyone's Oldham decks. Like, Oldham's still gonna be good, right? I mean, you're gonna run maybe the new helmet, the new generic helmet. You might run the Coronet Peak, maybe. I'm not sure, but I mean, you got options. Maybe just run Skullcap.
Yeah, honestly, like I do think that Oldham is good enough without Crown of Seeds. I think Crown of Seeds is just like a little bit too much on top, which is a really funny joke too because it's a hat. But but yeah. Anyway, so I do think that that's a welcome change, and I'm glad to see that LSS is continuing to keep an eye on stuff and not looking to completely nuke Oldham from orbit. Just looking at this thing and being like, Crown of Seeds is like just it's too good at everything that it does. So yes, I like that.
Speaking of keeping an eye on stuff and being too good at everything,
I am good at segues.
let's talk about the other bands, because those ones affect me a little bit more because I play Commoner a lot more than I play. Well, I don't know. It's pretty close. It's pretty close, I would say.
Yeah,
but I do play a lot of Commoner.
So leading into the last set of banned suspended announcements for Commoner, effective July 1st, both Ball Lightning and Belittle are banned in Commoner. And I agree with both of these.
Yeah.
Very, very much. As much as I like playing with both of these cards, because honestly, they're really good cards, that's also the issue, is that they're really, really good.
I wish they were just like, Ball Lightning's banned in Briar. But Lexi's fine.
Lexi needs all the help she can get.
That's me just being very biased. Well, yeah, because Lexi in Commoner is just, once again, that's a little awkward because you don't have Voltaire. So you don't have Go Again on all of your arrows, so it's just like a little awkward. And a lot of these situations, it's like, you could just, this is one of the situations where you could just kind of play Azalea instead.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Obviously we all know Yeah, we all know ball lightning's ridiculous, don't we?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
It's always been ridiculous. I'm pretty sure when I was at the pre-release for Tales of Aria, I like opened up a ball lightning. I'm like, this card is stupid. This card is too good. And somebody was like, oh well, it doesn't block. I'm like, that doesn't matter.
Why would you block with it? It's so good. Like, it's just telling you the optimal plays, right? It's just saying, don't block with this card. It's too good.
Even if I could block with ball lightning, I wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah,
But,
it's disgusting.
And honestly, I feel the same about Belittle. Not quite on the same level, obviously. But my favorite version of Chain plays Belittle / Minnowism package in it.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it's my favorite way to play Chain in a full constructed format.
Yeah.
Like the Belittle engine, the package that you have, being able to, if you're already playing cards that have low base power, and you're able to search for, again, specifically in Chain, a non-attack action that is also a buff, or that you can use to pitch instead, like, it's just really good. And the fact that it's a generic package that can be added into any deck, like, I can see it. I'm a little sad to see it go, but I think that overall it's a net positive for the format.
I agree 100%. I'm pretty sad to see it go because I really like it. I think it's a cool little, self-contained, I don't want to call it a combo, but, it's a self-contained little package. And I like it, but also I'm sad, but I'm not too sad. I guess that's the way I want to put it.
What about if ball lightning was banned in Briar and Belittle was banned in Chain?
Well, like,
do you reckon that'll make
Belittle's really good. Belittle's really good in Briar too. Like,
that's true.
Yeah. It's the fact that like ball lightning is specifically good, I think, in Briar mostly. What we were saying before.
It's
with
good.
Lexi,
It's good. It's good in Lexi too, but like,
less
not
so.
as good.
I think it's less impactful in Lexi because specifically in Commoner, you're already being pushed towards more of a go tall strategy because it's just the easier way to build her with the access to bows that she has.
It's like almost the only way because you only have access to Death Dealer and Shiver just gives you Dominate anyway. So like,
so it's it makes it less overpowering in Lexi. But yeah, the fact that Belittle is generic, and Minnowism is also generic, does make that, like, even if it is too good in Chain, like, as Cal said, it's also good in Briar. It could also be good in Azalea. It could be good in Katsu or Phi now, because now Phi is in Commoner too. Like, it in a format where you have limited access to, I wouldn't say like efficient cards, but like really efficient cards. I think that Belittle probably finds itself on the top end of that scale of like card is maybe a little bit too easy to put into decks and have it perform at a really top power level.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, like, and just like as I was saying for Crown of Seeds, I think that the fact that LSS is looking at this format, which I did see, and I think I mentioned this again, if not last week, then a couple weeks ago, but there were a lot of people that were saying now that LSS said that Commoner was going to be an official format, they were like, oh, well, but all these cards that are still legal, they're too strong. And like, yeah, because it just happened. It just started to be a format. And now this is their sort of show of good faith. Like, we are paying attention.
Yep.
Like, people are saying that Ball Lightning and Belittle are making the format too fast. So yeah, let's get rid of them. Like, just because things weren't banned out of the gate doesn't mean the format is bad.
Yeah, I think they're doing they have a really good approach to it because they literally say on the article that, here, actually I can read it. It says the LSS dev team does not actively play test the Commoner format, but we do monitor and take note of community feedback, and there has been sufficient amount of community feedback that both Belittle and Ball Lightning make the Commoner format too fast. And so I like they're just kind of keeping an eye on the format, not, obviously actively play testing around it and making cards for it, but at least keeping community feedback in mind and, taking action where it is needed. And I do think it was needed, especially for ball lightning. Ball lightning is pretty gross. And I think this just makes more decks viable. Because if you're like playing aggro, you could just play Briar and kill everyone because it's like the best. It was like the best aggro deck.
It was, yeah.
So, yeah.
Fully agree with that. So yeah, I think all in all, I'm pretty happy about this banned and suspended announcement. I don't think there was anything here that I'm like too upset with, outside of just having, like a little bit of personal feeling about Belittle as a card. I really like Belittle Minnowism. I think it's a really cool just set of cards. But, again, overall, I think it's better for the format of Commoner. If, people are encouraged to try out different stuff, it's never really a bad thing.
Yeah, I agree. I saw the BNR announcement, and I looked at the changes, the Crown of Seeds, Ball Lightning, and Belittle, and I was like, yep, that sounds about right. Like, I wasn't even like, what? I was just like, yeah, those are things that I probably could have guessed, right? If you gave me like 5 guesses, I probably would have guessed at least Crown of Seeds and Ball Lightning for sure.
Yeah, we've all had that thought like, oh, this is ridiculous. This play pattern, Ball Lightning, Belittle, oh, I can't believe it. It's just, we should ban it straight away after this game. We've all had that feeling, haven't we? And it's just some cards just don't really attribute to a sort of positive experience when it's just like you can see how efficient it is and how the numbers just add up with all of these lines. So yeah, I think we all knew it was coming, to be fair.
I mean, I'm usually sitting on the Ball Lightning end, like playing the Ball Lightning with my Lexi, being like, I play Ball Lightning, I play a second Ball Lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, Ball Lightning in a vacuum, a single copy of Ball Lightning, I think is like fine. I think it's a reasonable card, but it's when you get it in multiples. The fact that it stacks on itself is like just. It's a little too good. Having that on an effect like a once per turn, or if it was like a piece of equipment that you could pop, like instead of what is that one from Tales of Aria, Cracker Jacks, where it was like break this for the rest of the turn, your elemental damage +1 or whatever. Having like one instance of it for the turn is fine. Having it, being able to do it multiple turns, potentially in a row, or multiple times within the same turn, I think is where it just starts to get a little out of hand.
Yeah. But, I don't think a lot of people will be too sad to see it go.
No. I think, again, net positive for the format. But I do want to also draw attention to an event that I believe Az will be making an appearance at. Is that right? You're for Pro Tour Lille?
Absolutely, yeah. Not for the actual Pro Tour itself, but for the calling, I have answered the calling for the Lille one. So I'll be going to that. I'm actually making a whole week of it, so I'm going there on the Monday and just basically making a holiday out of it.
That's the way to do it, man.
So haven't really been on holiday this year either. So it's going to be a nice sort of amalgamation of both chilling out and just playing some cards. So can't wait for it.
What format is the calling? And also, if you don't want to share your super secret tech, as you don't have to, but what hero are you planning on playing?
Secret tech, from Go Again Gaming.
Yeah.
Secret tech.
Noted competitive Flesh and Blood player.
Known
Spike and winning enthusiast.
Yeah.
Winning enthusiast.
Oh dear. Brilliant. That's what my Twitter name's now going to be, as winning enthusiast.
Yes.
Proven winning enthusiast.
Yes.
Brilliant. So calling in Lille is a 20k CC event.
Okay, it's classic constructed.
Yeah. I think I'm just going to go with what I know, and that's obviously Azalea. I'm just going to go with that.
Hey man, you'll be like one of the only like 3 people playing Azalea for the weekend. So
exactly. Yeah.
Huge props. Yeah. I think there was like 1 or 2 at the Jersey Pro Tour. Like,
yeah. So, but I feel like I know the deck. I know all the cards. So I think that's just the way to go. Is just play what you want to play.
Yeah.
I'm just there to have fun, really, and I like making people sweat. Whenever you sit across the table from an Azalea, you're like, oh this is going to be easy, and then they're firing red in the ledgers at you, and you're like, oh no, I'm going to have to take my next turn off, and they're like, you can see them sweating, and they're playing the I nearly said something there, but the worst hero in the game. So
maybe. Maybe.
All of us love Azalea. I think we can all agree on that. I think we could also agree that you're not totally far off with that assessment.
Yeah. I mean, like, for me, it was similar at the team event. Like, I had been playtesting Briar, and I knew Briar was really good. This was like the Mount Heroic Briar. But I was like, do I bring Briar, or do I just play what I know? And I'm like, I'm just going to play what I know. So I brought my Lexi deck. I just brought Lexi. And it confused people a lot, because I sat down, and they're like, oh, what are you playing? I'm like, I'm playing Lexi. And they're like, Lexi? And I'm like, yep, playing Lexi.
That's it. I live for those experiences. They're like, oh, you're playing Azalea? What on earth? And you can see the cogs going in their head, and they're like, what's going on here?
and they've never play tested against the deck, so they have no idea what the hell you're doing.
No, exactly.
And that's playing the angles.
It is. It's playing all sorts of psychological angles, and you're just sat there like with no sleeves on your deck, no play mat, and they're just like, what is this guy doing? He's wearing a Great Britain flag around his neck. What's going on?
Yeah, this guy's insane.
He's insane.
You're just bridge shuffling your Azalea deck, unsleeved.
Yeah. Unsleeved. Oh, brilliant. Bag of crisps on the table. All sorts.
God. Well, that's going to be a fantastic time then.
It's going to be a great time. Definitely go into that, and I know a few people are going to it as well. I think Flake's going. James himself is going as well.
Yep. I know Flake will be doing coverage, and James will probably be swamped with tons and tons of fans like always. It's cool, man. I wish I could go. It seems like a really, really awesome event. I mean, like, the other Pro Tour was awesome, and this one seems awesome, but European version instead.
Yeah, exactly. That's all it is. It's the European version. So if you're in the European area, this is the one you go to. I know that obviously New Jersey had a very special sort of vibe to it, 'cause it was the first one and what have you. But this is the next best thing for people that are sort of localish to this. And this for me is a train journey away, because there's a train that goes from London to Lille, and it's so much cheaper than flying anywhere. And a lot easier.
The two events are very much like sister events in a lot of ways, because the Pro Tour competitors got the Heart of Fiendel playmat at Jersey, and Pro Tour competitors at Lille will get the Eye of Ophidia playmat. So it's kind of like, if Jersey was Welcome to Wraith, then Lille is like Arcane Rising. And I was gonna make a comparison with the sleeves, but the sleeves are not as cool. I'm sorry. You get Bravo sleeves, which are cool. The Bravo sleeves are cool, but they're not.
It's ironic.
They're not tunic sleeves. That's
it.
It'd be cool if you had skullcap sleeves or something. That'd have been sweet, but
that would have been cool, actually.
And then there's one other thing that you guys are getting, which also seems to be like a sister card to the Yorick that we got in New Jersey. If Bill wants to introduce this spicy card.
Yes. Okay. So if everyone is already familiar with Yorick, who's the first bard, and who was the promo card for the last event, the promo card for this event is now going to be the bard weapon, and it's Yorick's loot. So it's a bard weapon, two-handed loot.
I still love that it's a weapon. It's not like bard. It's like bard weapon. No, this is what he doesn't have, a sword or an axe. He's got this freaking loot.
Yeah, yeah. Although injustice of all injustices, it does not have an attack value.
That would have been sweet.
It is a weapon in name only, which again, it affects me personally, but the name of his loot is Hummingbird, Call of Adventure, And we don't, as far as I know, officially have the like real rules text for it, because it comes in what appears to be two flavors. There's one with the official rules text on it, and then there's one with more of a flavorful version of its card text, sort of like how Corsham from Tales of Aria has, it does tell you what it does, but it's in like a more fun sort of setup.
I unironically love it. Like I really love it. Yeah, I think it's so cool.
I love when they do this sort of thing. Just because, it's especially for something that's a promo weapon for a promo hero that, isn't actually part of the format. Like, it's a cool thing, and it gives it a little extra flavor. But I've mentioned everything else about it except for its text. So what does this card do? When cometh thou turn, pick a tail, quicken be bold, or drawn and quartered, or health be good ye all.
That's so cool. I'd very much like to not be drawn and quartered, though. I'd like to have that on the record. That's pretty awesome.
That's just a personal preference, honestly.
Yeah, please don't draw and quarter me, please.
Just how I want to live my life.
Yeah. It's so good though.
Yeah, so we were sort of chatting about this before, and before we started recording the official portion of the podcast, and what I sort of figure is like you can kind of see because the way that this promo picture, the only one that we have at least right now, is set up, you can see the one with the official rules text sort of behind the one that has that more flavorful, flourishy text. But the only things that you can see, there's a little bit of a skew to it. So the only things that you can see on the official rules text are at the start. There's it's cut off
at the star of the show.
At the star, and then it has 3 lines, 3 bullet points that each start with each.
Yep.
So what I figure, at least from the 3, the quick and be bold, drawn and quartered, health be good ye all, and the fact that it's each player or each hero or whatever, I think that it will likely match up with the rules text for Commotion. You probably are only going to be able to pick one, but I think it'll be make a quicken token, draw a card, or gain a health, gain a life. And I think that's like a pretty safe bet.
I think that's a very safe bet. I would bet money that's like 100% true. Like just at the start of your turn, pick a mode, and then each hero does the mode that you choose. What I really like about the templating of the fancy flourished version is quick, drawn, and health are all capitalized. They all have like capital letters. So like it's kind of like a cool little nod to what the mechanics actually are. It's like quick, okay, this is a quicken token, drawn or health. And I would also wager that this card comes cold foil and double-sided. So one side will have the fancy version, the other side will have the boring normal version. That's what I'm going to call it.
Yeah, and now I very much more than ever really need to get the Yorick and the Hummingbirds, so that if I ever do get to play a Yorick game, I can have the full art Yorick with the fancy Hummingbird, and just be like as I don't know. It just feels cooler to have stuff like that. Like something that I really liked about Everfest for Bravo Star of the Show, and now for Uprising with Icelander, is that they have those like the cold foil that also have like just the full art, no text version of the art on the backside. Something about that, I really, really like it. It really, I don't know, it just feels so much more, not even like flavorful, but just it's so much different from what you would normally see for a hero.
It's just really nice
so it
looking.
Really makes an impact. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm someone who plays with sketch like artist proof sketches of like the heroes. So like in my Lexi deck, I have a regular Lexi that I also got signed by Federico Musetti, but I also have an artist proof one with that has Lexi sketched on it. So I prefer to use that one, and I feel it's kind of the same kind of vibe, right? Playing with just the full art heroes instead of the one with the text boxes and all that kind of stuff. I dig it.
Yeah, just how you want your how you want to express yourself in the game, isn't it? It's just like when you get alters done, or if you want to play of a certain hero or a certain card, it's just that's the beauty of card games. It's just expressing yourself.
I think you're technically allowed to do that because heroes are tokens, and you're allowed to substitute it with something what is it, like visible? I don't know the right word. Visibly unique.
Yeah. As far as I'm aware, and obviously, as a judge, but one that gets corrected in the comments constantly, my understandings work are anything that is a token, anything that is like token rarity or whatever, as long as it's obvious what card it's supposed to be, and both players understand what card it's supposed to be, you can kind of do anything. Like, if you were at like a skirmish event where it's blitz decks, you only had the adult version of a hero, as long as you know that and you make your opponent aware that it's standing in for the young version of a hero, and you're going off of the young life instead of the adult hero's life, then not an offense or anything in terms of the rules.
It's
all about making sure that your opponents know.
At the World Premiere event, I did see more than a few Helios Miters that were actually crack baubles with someone who just wrote Helios Miter on the top of it, because there weren't enough to go around if folks left their promo at the hotel or whatever.
I like that.
Yeah. And for competitive events, for the calling, like the team event for my Lexi, when I sat down and I showed my opponent, I was like, hey, I have this sketch version of Lexi, and almost always everyone was like, oh, that's awesome. I'm like, are you okay if I use this instead of the other version? I'm like, I have the other version too if you want. And everyone was just like, no, that's cool. So
especially in that sort of situation too, the main issue then would be if there was to be an issue drawn from that, it would be that you're trying to obfuscate what your card does by not having a readable version of it in front of you. So the easiest possible way, I think, to navigate that sort of situation, if listeners at home have a cool artist proof or something else that they wanted to do, they wanted to draw their own card, because obviously people are very creative. I'm not one of those people, just because I can't draw. So, but if you wanted to do that and you wanted to express yourself like that, and you have a hand-drawn version of a card, if you have the real version of the card somewhere else, then that removes it even farther from somebody actually having a valid reason to take issue with it.
Yep.
Because then if your opponent needs to read the card, okay, here's the actual legal version of it. This is the token that's standing in for it.
Yep.
It's fine. But again, that only works for cards that are tokens. You can't do that for actual real, even if they're commons, they have to be the actual card.
Yep, 100%.
But yeah,
and
that's feel free to try to express yourself.
That's true with artist proofs too. So you can't have an artist proof instead of a if you had an artist proof of a random majestic, you can't play that instead of the actual majestic because it doesn't count as an actual card.
Yeah.
And this is something that I have confirmed with many people. You cannot play with artist proofs.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially you, right, with the amount of artist proofs that you have.
Yes, I have I didn't want to play with them anyway, but I mean, other than the hero.
Yeah.
But I have 20 something. I have more than that now. I don't know. I haven't counted them. They're just all on the shelf. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent from Hummingbird, which is also just freaking awesome.
It's awesome. It calls us to adventure, is what we want happens.
We are all getting called to adventure on this blessed day.
Oh, it makes me so excited for the PvE stuff and all that kind of more lore intensive things that they have in the future. It makes me just that much more excited for it. I think it's gonna be so rad, dude.
It's gonna be actually so sick.
Yeah. So obviously you get that. It says a beautiful double-sided cold foil promotional card has been specifically crafted just for this event and will be exclusively available as part of the package for players attending. So yeah, it is a double-sided cold foil promotional card. So you do only get the one for each event that you enter. by the looks of it. But I might enter the battle hardened as well, but I am rubbish at draft. Probably give my opponents all manner of different signals.
Oh, draft is so good though. It's so good.
Yeah, I reckon I need to give it a go. And yeah, obviously all the talk of the Uprising drafts and all that sort of stuff has got me sort of itching for it. So I probably will enter that as well.
Uprising draft is like so much fun, dude. Like,
yeah,
it's one of the most fun, like, limited experiences I've had with Flesh and Blood.
Yeah.
Highly recommended. Yeah.
So yeah, probably have to do that as well. There's loads of side events as well going on as you can expect. But yeah, it looks really cool. So yeah, can't wait to go to that.
Honestly, the side events are like my favorite parts of these big events. Like the side events, and then also meeting everyone, and like I don't know what artists are going to be in Lille, but in Jersey we had Federico and Steve Argyle. So hopefully some artists are able to make it to Lille. That's just so cool to be able to meet them.
Yeah, definitely.
I know. Oh man, his name is so difficult to say. It's Matthias.
Oh yeah. He did the amulets.
Yeah,
our amulet.
And he did a bunch of other stuff for Uprising, but I know he came to a calling before, so hopefully he'll be in like Lille.
Yeah, I think he went to Krakow.
Yes,
the guy did the Cold Snap, wasn't it? That one.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I think he will be there. Hopefully. Yeah, he does some good stuff.
Yeah, he's a pretty nice dude. I've interacted with him a little bit on Twitter.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Anything else, guys?
No, I was about to say, I think that just about wraps up at least what we had on the docket for today.
Yeah.
And I wanted to possibly throw it over to Az for Arsenal. I don't remember if you did Arsenal last week, but I think you had.
I'm always doing the Arsenal.
Yeah,
you just opened a case, and I don't know. That was at least at the front of my mind.
Yeah, I think you both have done it twice, and I have not done it, but I also talk a lot, so I don't mind.
Okay, well then that settles that. Okay, Kel, Arsenal step. What you got?
Okay, let me think. I have a couple things I could talk about. I have one card game related thing and then one like video game related thing. Which one would you guys prefer to hear about?
Well, we'll do both.
Okay, so I'll talk about the video game related thing first then. I've recently got back into fighting games. I used to play a lot of fighting games when I was younger, and I was pretty good at them, specifically Street Fighter 4. And I've kind of gotten back into them, and there was a couple sales on like the PSN store, and I picked up some fighting games. One of them is called. Just know that Japanese fighting games have weird ass names, and this one has a weird ass name. It's called Under Night in Birth. I believe it was one of the fighting games that was at Evo one of the years. It's similar to like Blaze Blue or the other one that I literally just bought the new version of. I can't believe I can't remember the name of it. It's sort of like Skullgirls, but it's more like not Fatal Fury. What is the game with Jacko? I'm just gonna type a Jacko.
We're finding out live for all the listeners out there what this game is called.
Yeah.
Guilty Gear.
Guilty Gear. Yeah.
Guilty Gear. Yeah.
I literally just bought Guilty Gear Strive the other day, and I've been playing that. And I played other Guilty Gear games, and Jacko is like my go-to character. She's like she has like a kind of like a jack-o'-lantern mask kind of thing. She's pretty cool. Anyway, so yeah, I've been getting back into fighting games. Unfortunately, my old favorites aren't very good right now. Like I used to no surprise of anyone, I used to like the old Dead or Alive games, like Dead or Alive 3 and 4.
Oh yeah,
they were awesome. The new one 6 kind of sucks, which is a little unfortunate. And then Soul Calibur. So I've been playing Soul Calibur as well, the newer one. And then the other thing is like card related. I'm doing lots of things with lots of cards most of the time. But
when are you not?
Yeah, really. But I'm going to be doing preview videos for 3 separate card games this month. Well, actually, next month. I technically did one already this month, and then we'll have 2 next month. And so the one that I just did was a preview for Grand Archive, which is an anime-style trading card game that was successful on Kickstarter. Their new set launches in a couple months, and I got to spoil one of their heroes, which is like a cool wizard lady named Merlin. And
Awesome.
I put a lot of effort into that video, the same effort that I put into my Flesh and Blood videos, so it has like voice acting and special effects and stuff. And I genuinely think that game is fantastic, and I hope when it launches that more folks will give it a shot, especially people who were into games like Force of Will or Vanguard or Weiss or just any of the anime style games, because I think this game is like plays better than most of them and also has like really, really good art, and it's like a new IP, so it's not like taking from pre-existing like anime or whatever like a lot of the other games like Dragon Ball Super and all that kind of stuff. So I genuinely think it's a great game, and yeah, so that's kind of the things that I've been doing and thinking about. I do have a spoiler video for Genesis Battle of Champions and Legion's Realms at War next month. Both games from Canada, actually. So more local to Bill.
Hell yeah.
And I think those games are good too. Those two games in particular, I really feel are like the epitome of like a grassroots indie game where they just kind of like did it themselves. So just like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it myself, and they did. And you know, they're both kind of like trucking along. Neither of them are like massive, right? But they still have a following, and I think they're both great games. And the owners and the makers of the games, Taylor for Legions and Assad from Genesis, I think they're both like fantastic people, and I've chatted with them personally. And so I'm happy to support their games. So I'm gonna have some stuff on that.
Are they both? I know because I know Genesis is the like sort of grid-based combat, isn't it?
So I'll give you the.
Is Legions like that as well? Is it or?
No, here, yeah, I'll give you the quick elevator pitch on both of them. So if you don't know what Genesis Battle of Champions is, I think it's like Warhammer 40K, but it's a card game, and it's like that more than just being a tactical card like grid-based thing. There is that where positioning and direction matters, but also like your deck has a point system similar to how your army has a point system in Warhammer, where you can have unlimited number of a card in your deck if you have the points for it. So there's no like restriction on like, you know, the number of cards you can have. There's a lot of like, you know, customizability in your deck the same way you'd have with your army in like a 40K or something like that. So I think it's really cool and interesting. And then it's also been around for a while too. It's kind of starting to now get traction, but it's been around for a few years. And then Legions is a little bit newer. They've only had a couple sets. I would say Legions, if Genesis is more like 40K or Warhammer, Legions feels to me like hyper competitive Yu-Gi-Oh almost, where you have a certain number of slots for they call them warriors. So like your units are warriors. So you have a certain number of slots, but you can't exceed that number. I think it's 5 or 6. I'll have to check. I haven't played in a little while, but and then you also have a certain number of other slots for your spells and abilities and that kind of stuff. So it's similar to Yu-Gi-Oh, right? How you have your like monster row and your like spell and trap row. It's also similar to Yu-Gi-Oh in that you can there's no real resource system other than your life, and you can play like any number of spells in a turn, but you can only like conscript one warrior, like play one warrior from your hand. But there are other ways to like cheat them out. I think it's a fun game. At base level, it's pretty fun, but once you actually like build a deck, you'll realize it's like hyper competitive Yu-Gi-Oh. And I used to play hyper competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, whereas like I could kill you turn 1 or 2 pretty easily. Like it's not like a oh, if I draw like the perfect hand, it's like nah, like there's like an 80% chance I'm gonna pop off and try it unless you can stop me. So it's like it's a card game lover's game. Like if you love like the super intricate competitive kind of stuff, you'll like Legions. Because I made the first like big deck that I made is Titans. There's a bunch of different realms. That's why it's called Legions, Realms at War. So there's like a demonic realm, and there's like a necromancy realm, and there's angel realm, and there's like the human realm, orc realm. I play Titans, And the Titan realm is just all that like really big effects, and also like eradicating your own cards, which is kind of like banishing them from Flesh and Blood or exiling from Magic. And it's kind of like Dredge. Like I like just exile my entire deck, but there are cards that when you exile them, they do things, and so you can just keep eradicating them and keep eradicating them and doing this thing. And there's also a couple cards that like double a warrior's attack. So I can just pump up a dude, double the attack, and then make it so I can attack multiple times and just kill my opponent on like turn 2 or 3. It's like pretty
very aggressive, isn't it?
Pretty easy. It's cool. It's a cool game. Like you can definitely stop that. The thing is with that sounds powerful and broken, but the thing is if you're able to stop that, my deck is gone and I'm gonna die. Like that's the downside. If you stop, it's like an all-in kind of thing. If you stop it, then I lose. Which is kind of how I like to play aggro decks anyway. So I'm just all in.
Yeah.
But there's
Walls to the wall.
Yeah. There's other cool stuff about it too. Like there's the Veil. So like you start off without your Warlord or your oh man, I don't remember the nomenclature for this. Your Warlord or your Realm. But after there's a countdown, and after a certain number of turns, your Warlord appears with their realm, like so they're like the harbinger of the realm, and that gives you additional like effects and things you can do. And my deck centers around my Warlord and the realm, and I have a card that lets me pierce the veil early. Usually it takes like 3 or 4 turns to do that because of the countdown, but I have a card that lets me do that early if I take a lot of damage, and so I just do it early and then try to pop off. Anyway. It's fun. It's a fun game. It's a kind of a new upcoming thing. So if folks out there are looking for like a new game to try or just want to support like a small indie thing, I like both of those, Genesis and Legions. Personally, I also really love Grand Archive, but it's not out yet, so you have to wait a couple months for that.
It's a great time to be a nerd.
Yes, there's
so many options.
Yes, yeah. I've been inundated with many card games over the last couple months, and a lot of folks approach me about their card games every now and then. And out of all of the ones that I've play tested and like previewed and checked out, these are the ones that I think are like solid, like really good, and I can definitely recommend them to people. The other one obviously is Sorcery if you watch my content, but for different reasons. Mm-hmm. Sorcery is good. It's more casual. It's big, splashy, more board gamey.
Yeah, I have a card that you gave to me as a gift from Sorcery that I still have in my my desk drawer here, my top desk drawer. Cyclopean Mummies.
Dude, that one has great artwork. I think is that Jeff Menges artwork.
Jeff Easley.
Oh, Jeff Easley, old D&D artist. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. So,
yeah, I wanted to give you one that had some of my favorite art.
Yeah, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I think with that we can probably call this one a wrap. We've had a lot of stuff to talk about, like a surprising amount of stuff to talk about today, which is great.
Yeah.
Always nice to be able to deep dive into everything that's going on currently.
Yeah, that's what we'll do, won't we? You know, that's what we'll do every week. If there's something like this come out on the article, if there's any news or any hot topics, we'll cover them. And if not, we'll just make some up.
So, yeah. We'll just start spreading misinformation.
No. I'm sure eventually we'll have like during the slow. Like I guess in the next couple months it'll probably be a little slow until we wait for the next set. We'll have plenty of time to talk about like lore or other aspects of Flesh and Blood.
Speculations, art, all sorts, So that's what you can come to
always
expect
down
from this podcast.
to speculate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh, that made me think. Maybe we can have like a special guest, like an artist or someone, on to talk about art or something.
That can be cool.
Yeah, we'll think about that. Put it in the back pocket.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, until then, where can we find you?
Yep, so my name's Az, and I'm from the Go Again Gaming YouTube channel. So go over to YouTube and check that out when you can. and active on Twitter at GoAgainGamingAZ. So I post all sorts of stuff on there. Recently, I've been doing a lot of weird sort of like character edits of like people's requests of what their characters would wear. So I've been having a bit of fun with that. So if you like sort of weird custom edits from your favorite characters and stuff, and PS2 covers that might or could have been in the past, then go and check that out. That'll be lovely.
Yeah, that's it's been some pretty great stuff. I'm a big fan of what you've been doing so far.
Yeah, just having fun with it, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, seeing all these characters wear a spring tunic, where logically it's like, does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, you wait till you see the Olden one. His pecs are popping right out.
Oh God.
Nice. I feel like realistically, him wearing the tunic would just be like tucked into his belt, like as a sash or something.
Yeah.
It's more of an accessory than
Or
an actual.
or wear it like an ascot, tied around his neck or whatever. That'd be good.
I think that's closer to the truth than it really it really should be, maybe. But it's
Yeah.
It would be. You wait until we start speculating. There's going to be a hero that can wear a piece of chest armor as a headpiece. So Olden now has the Findale spring bandana.
Yeah. So good.
I like that a lot, actually. But yeah, Cal, where can we find you, my friend?
Yeah, you can find me basically everywhere at RedZoneRogue, YouTube.com/RedZoneRogue, Twitter.com/RedZoneRogue, or at RedZoneRogue, and also Instagram and Twitter, or Instagram and Facebook, but I don't really use those as much. But yeah, all of the things, keeping consistent with the branding. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, easier to just sort of make a business card where it's your one-stop shop, hey?
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, but and finally, as your host for this episode, I am Bill from the Spike Feeders. You can check me out at BillTSF on Twitter. You can also check out our Flesh and Blood content on YouTube at Spike Feeders FAB, FAB, which of course stands for Flesh and Blood. Yeah, this has been another episode of the Living Legends podcast. You can find us on, correct me if I'm wrong, at Kel, but you can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Google and Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
You can find us on Anchor FM.
Yes.
I think might be it. There might be one or two others that I've missed, but
yep, those are for the pods. I upload this to my channel as well. I think Anchor has links to all of them too. So if you just wanted to get all of them, just go to Anchor and I'll have all the links.
yeah. But anyway, with all of that being said, thank you all so much for listening and hanging out with us today. This was a really fun episode talking about a large variety of things that have been happening recently. And as always, thanks to you both for chatting with me today. It's always a great time.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah. And we will see you all in the next one, where maybe we have another cool topic, or maybe it'll just be baseless speculation.
Maybe both. Maybe both.
Maybe both, who's to say.
Maybe
Anyway,
it'll be a video
everybody-
episode of we all drink out of our shoes, respectively.
Oh, I think there's a term for that. One of my friends told me about.
Yes, that was me, I believe.
It was a shoogie, something like that.
Shoogie.
Scooby Dooby Doo, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Brilliant.
everybody have a fantastic night, and we will see you in the next one.